Hey booktubers, it's Ashley at Bookish Realm, and I am here to finally shoot a video that I have been wanting to shoot for a while. And it is my review of Food Wars. If you guys do not know or you just subscribed to my channel, I absolutely love Food Wars. It's an amazing manga and anime, and I'm so excited to finally be able to do this review. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. Okay, so here's how the review is going to work. I'm just going to show you exactly what all the volumes of Food Wars look like. I actually have all of the volumes that are currently printed in English. I will tell you a little bit about the backstory, go into some of the overarching themes of each of the manga volumes that are out. I'll also discuss some of the artwork and what I love so much about this manga and anime, because clearly this is all I freaking talk about. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with the covers so you guys can kind of see what each volume looks like. This is the first volume. I do not have a physical copy of the second volume. I actually ended up buying it on my Kindle because I couldn't find it anywhere, and I really wanted to continue the series, so hopefully I'll be picking up the second volume soon. This is the third volume with Megumi. She's so cute. This is the fourth volume with Nakumi. This is the fifth volume with the Aldini brothers. This is the sixth volume with Alice and her aide. She is a very interesting character. This is the seventh volume. I always forget his name. Don't ask me why, I always do, but he's like a spice specialist. This is volume 8. This is the head of the Polaris dorm. This is volume 9. This is volume 10. And this is volume 11, which was actually just released last week. Okay, so just so you guys have a intake or an interesting perspective of what Food Wars is, I'm just going to go ahead and give you a brief description. I have read volumes 1 through 10. I have not read volume 11, so this will not include a review of volume 11. I wanted to just do 1 through 10 for right now, and then eventually I will include the other volumes as they start to be released. Okay, so Food Wars, also known as Shokugeki no Soma, is a introduction to the culinary side of Japanese culture. We are introduced to our main character here, whose name is Soma Yukihira, and Soma and his dad run this restaurant, this small family-owned restaurant in Japan, and his dad eventually gets a call and he decides that he wants to travel the world and keep cooking. So because Soma has finished his junior years, meaning here in the United States that'd probably be like middle school years, since he's finished middle school and he's going into high school, his dad basically is asking him, well, what do you plan to do with your life? And Soma, of course, being like any teenager, is kind of like, I don't know, I just know when I get older I want to run the restaurant. So his dad ends up sending him to this elite Japanese school where only 10% of the population that matriculates to that school ends up graduating. That is extremely crazy. It is a very prestigious school with some of the world's best renowned cooks. You will see people with special abilities. There's a character named Irina who is basically has the tongue of God, is the best way to explain it. She can taste something and immediately know what it is composed of and whether it's good or bad quality. It's an amazing gift. So what we see here is that Soma basically has to go to this school, and these are kids who have been part of this culinary environment. I mean, formally a part of this culinary environment since they were little kids. And Soma has to go in as this kid who runs a rinky-dinky family restaurant, and he has to prove himself. I mean, when you read this manga, you're going to see that Soma is a culinary genius. He's brilliant in the way that he thinks on his feet and how he's able to develop dishes. His ability to kind of fix dishes in a moment's notice is just amazing. He has an uncanny ability to be extremely creative, and you get to see that even in this first volume of this. Now, I'm not going to go into particulars of each volume because I don't want to give the story away. If people would like to see me do a critical analysis maybe of each volume with spoilers, please let me know and I will do so. But I'm just going to kind of discuss the themes and the arcs of maybe how each of these kind of fits together. One thing that is interesting about this that I had to get, I guess, used to, because outside of Food Wars, the only other manga that I had ever read was Death Note, and Death Note is more of a psychological thriller. It's more on the dark side, whereas Food Wars is more on the comedic side. So Food Wars does have a lot of fan service. I will say that even in the anime, but the way that it is done is, to me, almost hilarious, because when people are eating food, it is almost orgasmic, and that's the best way I know how to describe it. Here is an example of what I mean. I mean, you have these extreme images of fan service that happened within the text. It didn't bother me. It took me some getting used to because I had never really been experienced or exposed to fan service in that way, but I really do enjoy it. Now for the overarching themes of the volumes, I kind of combine them to be in certain areas and to represent certain themes, and I'm not sure if this is accurate or if anybody else does that, but this is just kind of a preview of how the volumes work. So volume 1 and 2, in my eyes, are kind of like Soma's introduction to this culinary institute, him trying to find his place in this culinary institute, making friends, getting to know people, and proving that he's just as capable as everyone else, and being able to compete and make his mark on the university. Volumes 3, 4, and 5 are a little different in that all of the students are made to go to this camp. And at this camp, basically, they're put through it's either a 5 or a 6 day death battle challenge of cooking, meaning they have so many different challenges that they have to complete with the world's best culinary geniuses. And these tasks, I mean, can get kind of crazy, and I'm not going to go into specific ones again because I don't want to spoil it, but the tasks can get pretty daunting and pretty crazy, and all 3 of these volumes kind of discuss what happens when they're at this camp. And it's supposed to be this cute fun camp, and it is the complete opposite of a camp that is cute and fun. And what I really loved about these 3 volumes is that we get an introduction to a lot of brand new characters. 2 of my favorite characters are probably the Aldini brothers, because they're funny. They're twin brothers and they're complete opposites, but it is really cute. We get to see more of Megumi. She is the most adorable cook she's just so cute and cuddly. Now, what I would say is 6, 7, and 8 deal with the Fall Classic. So after they return from camp, there is this event called the Fall Classic, and the Fall Classic is just a fun competition for people to basically kind of say, okay, I'm making my mark here on campus. This is how good I'm at cooking in my year. So people in the same year compete to be the best basically in their year, and these three kind of encompass what they have to do in order to get into the Fall Classic and how they can make it to different levels in the Fall Classic. I think that this one was probably one of my favorites out of these three because of the fact that we get to experience some really interesting and complex details of cooking. And that's what I actually love about all of these volumes, is that this is not just some not research or fun on the side type culinary or cooking manga. This is something that has been actually well researched, and he's gotten the advice. YouTube to Sakuda has actually gotten advice from a chef on how to describe a lot of these dishes, and I'm actually looking for an example. Okay, so for example, on this page right here, when someone cooked the dish, they said the refreshing scent and tongue-tingling flavor of peppercorn oil ameliorates the oiliness of fats, but its spiciness makes you want another bite of the sweet meat. It's a chain reaction. This single bowl has built a self-contained cycle of deliciousness. So basically what you're seeing in here is that they're actually cooking the food and analyzing it and telling you what is good and what is bad about it. And I've never read anything like that. If you are a foodie, trust me, reading these or watching the anime is going to make you extremely hungry. And the last three volumes that I have here, volumes 9, 10, and 11, are kind of like an insight to what happens after people have made it past the preliminary rounds of the Fall Classic. So these are individuals that have made it to the first round, the people who have made it to the quarterfinal matches and stuff like that. So this is what these three contain. I have not read volume 11 yet. I'm really interested in picking this up rather soon, but I'm trying to hold off because I don't want to read it and then cringe because I need volume 12, and I don't think that's going to come until maybe like June. So I'm really interested in getting to it, but just not yet. And we meet this new character right here in volume 10 actually is when we really get to know him, and I do not like him at all. I do not like him as a character. I thought I did not like Alice and Irina, but I really do not like him at all. But these are pretty interesting. I'm really interested with the Fall Classic kind of coming to an end, and seeing where the story is going to go after the Fall Classic ends. So I'm really excited. Alright, so basically what you're seeing here is just my basic introduction and review of Food Wars. I have given each one of these volumes no less than 4 stars. They're that good. They're that amazing. I highly recommend them. I think the complexity with which they're written gives them a certain depth that you probably wouldn't expect to come from a manga. It has humor, it has depth, it has complexity, it has fan service for those of you guys out there who like fan service. And Soma is just a brilliant character. He is great. He's fun to read about, and you also get to meet these other dynamic characters, Alice, Irina, Megumi, all the kids at the Polaris dorm. It is just really wonderful. I highly recommend this manga. If you want, you can see again, here comes some more like artwork. Okay, so this has got to be my favorite piece of art out of the entire series, and I know this video is getting kind of long, but I have to show you guys this. This picture is so badass. Like, oh my gosh, it's perfect. Absolutely love this picture. My favorite picture out of any of the volumes. Alright guys, so if you have any questions about Food Wars, or if you want to discuss Food Wars with me, please leave your comments and questions in the box below. As always, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Remember, I try to upload videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. Alright.